was the night before Sampler September, and all through the workshop, the entire team was counting inventory. Happy Thursday, FlossTube. My name's Caroline. Welcome back to my channel. If you are brand new here, welcome. And if you're a returning viewer, friend, I'm really glad you're here. If you are participating with me in the Sampler September event that is being hosted by me on behalf of my small business Evertote, I have put together a collaboration from numerous Canadian small businesses, and we are going to do Sampler September upright starting tomorrow. So if you are joining in with me, you already know what the project is, so it's not going to be a surprise. If this is the first time you're seeing this and you still want to start tomorrow and join in with us on the project that we're going to be stitching, you can still purchase all of these supplies from us here at Evertote. We still have everything available. You just won't be able to start it on September 1st. We can try to get to you as quickly as possible, but it'll still take a few weeks. However, these projects are amazing. Or you can get a PDF version of the chart, the cross stitch chart, from the designer, Ellen Reed of Maximum Cross Stitch, and her shop is www.maximumcrossstitch.com. So, September's Revenge. This is our chart. We're going to be starting it tomorrow. I've written my plans right on my chart, so we'll talk about that in just a minute. I am going to also be knitting a pair of socks. I'm going to be knitting one sock in September and one sock in October. So by the end of October, I will have a finished pair of socks. The yarn was dyed by Timber Yarns, a small local to me yarn dyer here in Ontario. Heather specializes in self-striping sock yarn. These are going to be beauties. This is our floss pack. This is the Roxy Floss Co pack. All of our floss was dyed here at the workshop by Carrie of Roxy Floss Co. And these beautiful colors chosen by Ellen for September's Revenge chart, these flosses, I sent this pack to Heather of Timber Yarns, and she dyed us a self-striping sock to be knit in conjunction. And these are the Sampler Stripe Timber socks. I'm really hoping that this is going to become an annual thing for the four of us, just like we do the holiday countdown with Jacob DeGraff of Modern Folk Embroidery. This project, this Sampler September project, has been so fun, and adding in a sock knitting component to it, I love knitting socks, and so for me, I am so excited for tomorrow. So here's the piece of linen that I chose. It is a 32 count piece of panettone linen. Now the piece that I chose is a little more mottled than most of the dye lots of panettone that we send out. But this is the thing with a hand-dyed linen. It reacts the way it reacts, and sometimes you just get what you get. But I think this is a particularly, oops, there's Luna behind me. What's she doing? I'm not moving my chair even a millimeter because she had her ear, one of her ears was laying right close to the wheel, and I knew that if I moved at all, I might catch her on the ear. So that wasn't me, that was just her moving. So this piece of linen is a little more heavily mottled than many of other pieces. You can see there's a large patch here of mottling that happened there. But I think, I haven't decided which side to use. Maybe this side. I have to think about where I want that to hit. So I'm gonna, before I start, I'm gonna look at the chart really carefully and see what's gonna hit where to determine my placement, whether I use this as the front or the back. Beautiful. So yeah, so there's my floss on my linen. And there's my yarn. So later tonight, I'm gonna cake this up. So the plan with the socks is I am going to be making, I'm going to be trying out a brand new to me pattern by the Crazy Sock Lady called Heel Toe Do-Si-Do. This set of sock yarn, if you purchase the full kit, Heather's self-striping sock yarn, she sends it out in 2 50-gram skeins. So you should have twins, identical twin socks. If you start at the same end of the ball, once you've got it wound up, starting at the same end of the ball, you should have matching socks. There was not a mini included in this set. So in order for your, you can knit these socks however you want. Some people are a little bit particular with self-striping sock yarn to ensure that the stripes are not overly affected by the knitting of the heel. So lots of people will do and this is what I learned on my last sock that I did, something called an afterthought heel. So that is where you knit the whole sock as a long tube, Kitchener stitch the toe, and then you come in and you cut the stitches and pick up the stitches and knit your heel separately, just like a toe. I added in an extra 6 rounds of knit. I added an extra 6 knit rounds before I started the afterthought heel because I have a very high arch, and so I wanted to, I've heard that that's a good thing to do if you have a high arch. This allows you a little bit of extra room to, for that sock going over the saddle of your foot. And they do fit pretty well, but to be honest with you, I didn't actually cut into this myself. I asked my good friend Carrie, who is a wonderful knitter, very talented knitter and dyer, and she is the one who cut in and picked up the stitches for me. I did not enjoy it. It made me very nervous, very anxious. I didn't enjoy it at all. I am going to finish the second sock because, well, it's too beautiful to not have a pair. And so I will ask for her help again when it comes to doing the second sock. If you've knit self-striping sock yarns for years and afterthought heel is your way to go, then, or if you're brand new and you're up for a challenge, it's a great way to knit a pair of self-striping socks and have that heel. And see, you end up with a little bullseye on your heel. The pattern that I'm going to use for these, Crazy Sock Lady, called Heel Toe Do-Si-Do. I'll leave a link to it in the description box below. And it has a beautiful pattern on the front of the sock that carries down the foot, I believe. It's like almost like chevrons they look like, and then it's a regular heel flap and gusset construction, which is my favorite. Heel flap and gusset is really comfort zone for me, comfort zone knitting. And so I'm starting off feeling a lot more confident that these socks are going to turn out to be something that I really enjoy making. This is later Caroline sneaking in here because there was something I forgot to tell you about when I was talking about the sock pattern. If you have never knit socks, but you bought the sock set because you wanted to learn how to make socks along with me, I have a sock knitting tutorial on this channel. If you check the playlist section that's on this YouTube channel, there is a playlist for Learn to Knit. And if you scroll down that list, there is a Learn to Knit Socks segment where I go through start to finish, taking you through the steps of a sock. The leg, the cuff, the leg, the heel turn, flap. It is a heel flap and gusset. So you learn to do the heel turn and the foot and the toe and Kitchenering the toe. It is a very standard vanilla sock. The pattern that I use for that tutorial series is called the Super Simple Sock Pattern, and it was a pattern put out by my friend Louise Patterson of Wildflower Wool. It is a paid-for pattern. I believe it's $5 on Ravelry. So if you've never knit socks before but you want to try along with me, and you know how to knit already. If you don't know how to knit and you bought sock yarn, hats off to you because you are in for a ride. Sock knitting in general is so fun. I do hope you'll give it a try. Maybe if you're just learning how to knit, maybe test it out on some other yarn first before you go in for the Timber Yarn self-striping sock yarn. But again, on a playlist on this channel, I'll also leave a link to the Super Simple Sock pattern in the drop down box below. That generally is a pattern that I use when I'm knitting socks generally. I will use that pattern with self-striping sock yarn, but I will add in a different color for the heel and the toe so that you've got the stripes coming down along, then the heel will be in a solid color, the foot continues on with the stripes, and then the toe is knit again with an alternating color when I use that pattern. But we don't have a secondary color along with this sock set. You can always add in your own if you have yarn at home. Choose your own, and if you want to add a different cuff, heel, toe, whatever colors you want to do. But that's why I'm recommending for this pattern, if you want to have those stripes stay as stripy as possible, you're going to want to look for an afterthought heel, sock, or the pattern that I'm going to try is called the Heel Toe Do-Si-Do by Crazy Sock Lady. And again, that is a paid for pattern available on Ravelry from Kay, who is the Crazy Sock Lady. As far as teaching sock knitting as we go along, I'm happy to troubleshoot, but I'm not going to be putting up daily tutorial videos on sock knitting along the way because I have already done that. Those videos are there. So maybe what I'll do is when we get to that stage of the sock, I'll point out to those specific videos that are dealing with the heel flap and gusset, etc. Or I'll point to other knitting tutorial videos to help. So this is more of a stitch along and a knit along, more so than a teaching moment, if that makes sense. So hopefully that helps point you in the right directions. If you have any questions at all, leave me a comment below this video and I will do my very best to answer those questions when I see them, but I'll also answer them in the very next video that I will do, so that if other people have the same kind of questions, then it's just an easy way for me to get that information out there. All right, now back to Past Caroline. So I'm going to cake up this yarn later this afternoon so that I'm ready to go. And I will be using, and I didn't bring it upstairs with me here today, but I'll put in a little picture. When we were selling the full kit, well, we're still selling the full kit, but we had an option for a dark eggplant purple version of the bag set or a black version of the project bags. The full kit came with a medium flat cross stitch project bag and a medium sized wedge tote for the socks. I am going to be using the black floral print. So I will be caking up and putting my socks into the black floral bag tonight, ready to go. And I'm also going to be using the black floral flat cross stitch print. We had a few of those, a few extras of those, more so than the purple, and well, I couldn't choose between the two. So I thought at least if I take the black, there's more of those available. So anyways, tomorrow. So I'm all ready to go. Isn't that wild how that happens? Hand-dyed linen it's a science. And what you never know what is gonna come out of the dye pot. I've learned so much working with Carrie. It's been amazing. Okay, so let's tell you how I'm planning on going about the stitching part of this. So, September's Revenge, Ellen's chart has, and I've checked, her stitch count is 160 stitches wide by 114 stitches high. My normal start place is in the bottom left corner most of the time. But when I come across a chart like this, where there isn't a defined corner, I mean, you totally could start in the middle. I am actually going to start in the center. I'm going to start in the center with the house, with the windows. There are 8,139 stitches total. 30 days, half September. And so in order to complete this project by the end of the month, by the end of Sampler September, we need to stitch approximately 271.3 stitches per day, which is totally doable. I think back to last year's holiday countdown with Modern Folk Embroidery, and that was approximately the number of stitches every day. And I kept up with that easily. You know, you just have to, you just have to make the time. And there were a few days where I didn't quite get as many stitches in, but then I made sure to catch up the next day so that I would stay on top of it. So yeah, approximately 272 stitches per day. I am starting in the middle. However, This particular piece is not a mystery, and I already know that some of you have already started this design because you just couldn't wait, which I don't. I think that's fantastic. It's your stitching. There's no rules. There are no Sampler September cross stitch police here. I've also had some other stitchers who didn't really like the letters in the design. So don't stitch them. There's no rules. If you love the chart but you don't love the alphabet that's in the chart, don't stitch them. There's, you know, it's absolutely, totally gorgeous, equally as gorgeous without the alphabet. I am going to be stitching the alphabet. I'm going to be starting in the middle, but I'm not going to have a particular, like I'm not going to stitch and I'm not going to say to you, these are the stitches we're stitching today. Pick 272 stitches and stitch them. You know, just stitch a section, and each day's video I'll tell you where I'm headed next, and if you'd like to follow along with me, then that's great. So we're going to have a hashtag. I had figured out a hashtag. Oh, and I didn't write it down, so I guess I'm gonna have to make up a new one. A hashtag, like when there's four companies involved in putting this together, that would be a super long hashtag if we tried to put it all together. Because I'm the one hosting and leading the stitch along, let's use the 4 letters that I used for the coffee stitch along the last time, a few months back. So the letters of my channel, Off the Grid Needlearts, OTG. She's decided it's time to go move to her bed. OTGN, Off the Grid Needlearts, Sampler September. So it's gonna be hashtag OTGN, Sampler September 2023. Still a long hashtag, but I think easy to remember. OTGN, Sampler September 2023. And that way we can use the exact same hashtag next year in just 2024. OTGN, Sampler September 2023. And I hope that if you have an Instagram page, I am also, there are gonna be days where I can't put out a daily video on this channel. There are some of our team have gone into the lunchroom and she can hear them out there. And so she wants to go, like I've just taken her outside. She doesn't need anything. She's had a drink, she's gone outside. She's just making a fuss because there's people out there that she wants to visit. But you see, the thing is that if I let her out there and I close the door again, she's gonna turn around and do the exact same thing and want to come back inside. There we go. I convinced her it was in her best interest to just lie down and have a little nap. So we'll see. Okay, so where was I? Oh yeah, the hashtag. So there are going to be days where I just can't put out a video. I am going to be posting daily progress in my Instagram stories. So that's my Instagram account for the shop is @Evertotes. My Off the Grid Needlearts Instagram is basically, I haven't posted there in months. I still use it to follow other people, but I'm hardly ever on that account. I'm mostly on the @Evertotes account. There will be a link in the description box below. Please tag me. Tag me @Evertotes in your stitching if you're sharing on Instagram as well, because I find that nowadays, I don't know what they've changed with the Instagram algorithm, but even if you're following the hashtag, it doesn't always, the newest ones don't always pop up. It seems to only populate the really popular posts that are liked a lot. And so it'll show you those, but it won't show you a lot of the other ones where maybe you've got somebody with a small account who just likes very small, simple things on Instagram and just follows a couple of people, a couple of friends, a couple of stitchers, and those posts get missed. And I want to see them all. So please tag me @Evertotes, and hopefully every day or so I will post my progress in my stories. And I'd like to have a highlight reel, just like I did with the coffee stitch along a few months back, because that's really fun to sort of see the progression of when the piece starts and then the daily bits of progress as it grows. Those highlight reels are really fun for that. And then at the end, we'll have a finished project. So at the end of September, I should have a finished sock and a finished small sampler, which I love. So I'm starting in the middle. I am going to be starting with the window that I believe is directly above. It's either, because the house is slightly off center. If you, in the chart, I think the middle of the chart is possibly, it's either that window or that, I can't remember, but it doesn't matter. I'm gonna be starting with one of the top windows and go from there. So I'm going to iron my piece of fabric. I'm going to attach it to some scroll rods. I am going to cake up my yarn. I'm gonna get my project bags ready. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna film little snippets of that and put it in at the end here so that you can get ready with me for tomorrow. So, Sampler September, day 1, tomorrow, here we go. Have fun, everyone. Thank you so much to everyone who has purchased the kit through Evertote for participating in this first inaugural Off the Grid Needlearts Sampler September. I have had so much fun working with some amazing women putting this collection together, and I'm so excited to see this finally come to fruition this month. So we're gonna have a lot of fun. All right, let's get ready, and I'll see you tomorrow for day 1. Have a great night, everybody. Take care. Happy stitching.